6 p.m. in Lokbaba in the Douala 5 subdivision. Same time right here in Akwa Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Our major stories tonight: a woman has been slaughtered by a 17-year-old younger brother in Bonabome in the Douala 4 subdivision. The suspect, who was on holidays at her home, dumped her corpse at a major junction in the neighborhood. Away from that, in a shocking discovery, the National Gendarmerie has dismantled a laboratory producing fake palm wine in Doxibi, Douala. The suspects were mixing fermented cassava juice with hazardous substances like saccharose and whiskey in sachets to create the fake palm wine. Also in politics, Cameroon's Political Alliance for Change, PAC, led by Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher, has announced its decision to distance itself from efforts to find a unified opposition candidate to challenge President Paul Biya's 4-decade rule in the October 12 presidential election. The platform's stance on the election remains unclear from the rejection of its supported candidate, Professor Maurice Kamto, by Elections Cameroon. Those are major stories tonight. The news in full in a jiffy. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television, and for presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Cameroon's National Gendarmerie has cracked down on a counterfeit palm wine operation in Douala, dismantling a laboratory in Doxibi. The suspects were producing fake palm wine, locally known as matango, by mixing cassava juice with harmful substances like saccharose and whiskey in sachets. Sedi Chakutio provides further insights into the story.
On the evening of Thursday, September 4th, while the public was watching the Cameroon-Eswatini march, a forceful raid by the Anti-Crime Brigade of the Electoral Judicial Police took place in Doximbi in the Douala 3 subdivision. Alerted by a source deemed reliable, the Anti-Crime Unit disclosed a vast clandestine network of palm wine production commonly known as matango. On the scene, more than a dozen barrels of this illicit produced wine stored in an unsanitary house ready to be sold on the market. A 10-liter container was taken as a sample, and the vehicle used to transport the fraudulent liquid was also seized and placed under sale by Intendant Police Officer Harry Ntama. 3 suspects were arrested as they admitted their involvement and denounced the true mastermind of the network based in Edea. The next day, investigation expanded. The Ndogbon Gendarmerie Brigade, coordinated by Captain Boboji, commander of the Douala 2 Gendarmerie Company, and supervised by Colonel Jean-Pierre Otulu, commander of the Littoral Gendarmerie Legion, invaded the premises. We arrived at the scene and were indeed able to detect barrels containing a pink bag of fermented cassava with a few drops of matango inside, along with the palm wine. Here again, the findings were shocking, dangerous to the health. The entire stock was immediately destroyed. Liters of this undrinkable liquid were poured into the gutters. Faced with this raid, several dealers established in the neighborhood fled, abandoning bottles and containers. That unsanitary sales outlets were immediately destroyed. Investigations launched in the nearby houses led us to the unsanitary warehouse where the wine people consume was produced. We urge the population to always cooperate with police officers in this matter because the health of Cameroonians is important, and the gendarmerie will always focus on the protection of people and their property. This operation is a call for vigilance. The arrested individuals will soon be brought before the court to answer for the charges against them.
Now we talk politics. The Political Alliance for Change, PAC, of Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher has distanced itself from any initiative geared towards finding a consensual candidate for the opposition to beat the 4-decade-old Biya's regime in the October 12 presidential elections in Cameroon. As of now, the stance of the platform about the forthcoming presidential election is yet to be declared. The PAC supported the candidacy of Professor Maurice Kamto, whose candidature was rejected by Elections Cameroon. Babla Jonathan has greater details on this.
As the October 12, 2025 presidential election in Cameroon draws closer, speculations about a potential consensus candidate from the opposition arrive. A press release signed by the National Coordinator of the Political Alliance for Change, PAC, Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher, states that the platform and its flag bearer, Professor Maurice Kamto, have not mandated anybody, group, organization to engage in any negotiation. The PAC denounces what it calls misleading initiatives and reiterates its commitment to democratic values and transparency. Since the president of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, Manidem, left the platform, several individual initiatives have suggested the PAC's involvement to support. The PAC reiterates that it cannot be considered a party to negotiations in which it neither participated nor consented.
Still in politics, despite growing public debate and pressure for the retained opposition candidates to rally forces for a tougher battle with the ruling CPDM party come October 12, individual candidates continue to canvass for cell votes across the National Triangle. In Banga, in the Mungo division of the Littoral region, Bello Buba Maigari of the NUDP political party promised to resolve the infrastructural, energy, health and educational problems of the people of that locality when he becomes president in October. Fomi Armstrong Sanda has more.
The potentiality of engaging an alliance ahead of the October 12, 2025 presidential election once again failed to echo in speeches, chants and interviews throughout Bello Buba Maigari's rally in the town of Mbanga in the Mungo division of the Littoral region. In the course of this Meet the People tour, the National Union for Democracy and Progress NUDP political party's presidential flag bearer made promises related to road infrastructure, healthcare, energy and more. He urged his party supporters and sympathizers to unite, remain peaceful and retrieve their voters' cards to be able to participate in the October 12 presidential election, further elections, in order to be able to guarantee a resounding victory for the NUDP party. He hopes to have NUDP party mayors, members of parliament and regional councillors in that part of the Mungo division. The candidate emphasized the Anglophone crisis given Banga's border location with the conflict-hit southwest region, making the town of Mbanga and Mbanga subdivision a strategic host of hundreds of internally displaced persons. Coming from Manjo, Lum, Njombe Penja, Mombo and the Bombari, the sympathizers and supporters of the NUDP political party expressed confidence and optimism about winning the October 12 presidential election for the party and Bello Buba Maigari.
A group of militants of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party who failed to put forth a candidate for the October 12 presidential election embarked on a sensitization tour in the city of Douala, encouraging the population to nurse hope for change and withdraw their voters' card. The campaign began on Wednesday in the Douala 2 subdivision. Women have equally been urged to massively participate in the electoral process. Innocent Aze has more.
Avez-vous déjà retiré votre carte électeur? Non, pas encore. Même si retire pas, il n'y a pas de changement social.
Since disqualification of main opposition leader, Professor Maurice Kamto, from the October 12 presidential race, many Cameroonians who desire change in 2025 began losing hope with reluctance to withdraw their voter cards at the ELECAM branch offices. Barely a month to the presidential election, CRA militants in the city of Douala embark on a sensitization tour that started in the Douala 2 municipality, encouraging electorates, particularly those demoralized, to reignite hope for change and withdraw their voter cards.
We are in a period sensible, and it is important to all of us to have our vote card, to go the day of the vote to express our vote. Before expressing our vote, we will have our vote card.
So far, the feedback is positive.
They are happy to understand the information, the message that we tell, and they are very enthusiastic.
Je suis prêt. Toute personne qui aspire à un changement doit aller voter. Il ne faut pas que quelqu'un abandonne sa carte d'électeur quelque part.
Women whose participation rate in politics remains low due to diverse reasons are exhorted to join the train to learn more and fight for a better country.
Les femmes doivent aller retirer les cartes parce qu'eux-mêmes savent que les élections s'y protègent la femme et les enfants.
Some of these women and men are already on track, waiting to vote for change.
J'ai déjà retiré. L'obéi, tout, les crimes, les viols, tout ça. Donc nous sommes fatigués, nous voulons vraiment le changement.
Je vais dans ma carte électorale. Je vais voter pour le changement, pour que nous changeons nos habitudes, nous changeons dans nos foyers.
Je dois voter, nous avons besoin d'un changement.
Some told us they will stop at nothing to vote anyone who can bring change in Cameroon come October 12.
Même si c'est la souris qui va être là-bas, nous sommes derrière lui.
And now to a major story of tonight, in a disturbing incident that has left residents in a state of shock and despair. A 17-year-old boy allegedly slaughtered his older sister in Bonabome, Douala 4 subdivision. The teenager, who was reportedly on holidays at his sister's home, dumped her corpse at a major junction in the neighborhood, sparking widespread outrage. Innocent Aze reports.
The lifeless body of a woman covered with plantain leaves at a place called Carrefour Commandant in Bonabome, Quarter in the Douala 4 subdivision. She was reportedly slaughtered by her 17-year-old younger brother at about 2:30 a.m. Wednesday after a dispute.
Each of our neighbors, we rushed down to check what was going on. We knocked at the door, knocked for long, but nothing. We had to knock again for a second time for a young guy to come out and ask us, what's the problem, what are you looking for? So we said we heard noises, so that's why we are coming to check. That's where he said there's nothing or everything is fine. So that's why he closed the door and each of us went to our various houses.
In their home, they still heard an unusual noise from their neighbor's room. They didn't bother returning for the second time, believing it could be a spiritual attack.
After the incident, we still heard some noises inside, like but we thought it's a spiritual attack. So that's why each of us stood where everybody was.
As dawn, they went back to check on the woman. After learning from some passers-by, they saw someone like their neighbor lying lifeless at Carrefour Commandant, a stone throw from their city.
All of us rushed there just to discover that she was the one. So we came back and knocked at the door again. The same guy came out. We asked him where is his sister. He said his sister left since 1 o'clock. They had some small problems, so she decided to leave. So we called him to go and check there's one body, whereas the incident occurred at 2. So that's how we called him to go and check if she's able to identify the person.
Suspecting he killed his sister, they alerted gendarmes who arrived at the scene and arrested the young man who, according to neighbors, regretted not knowing what came over him to murder his elder sister and dump her body on the public road.
That's why he started crying, she's the one, though it wasn't real cries.
A medic who accompanied the gendarmes conducted an autopsy before carrying away her corpse to the morgue. The family of the deceased woman and the suspected murderer arrived at the scene later, inconsolable. Neighbors say the victim's younger brother came to spend the holidays with hope to leave when schools resume.
Innocent Aze reporting. They are now in other news. The Military School of Logistics now has a new commander at the head of the institution. He was put in office recently by Major General Philip Mpai. The installation ceremony took place at Pekadus here in the city of Douala. Let's now discover who the new commander is in this report compiled by Mala Glory.
He is the new commander of the Military Logistic Academy based in Pekadus, a neighborhood in the city of Douala. Jamie Carlos was recently installed into his new function by Major General Philip Mpai.
Vous connaissez de votre chef, commandant d'école de la logistique, le chef de bataillon Jamie Carlos, ici présent. Et vous lui obéirez à tout ce qui vous commandera pour le bien du service, l'exécution de l'agrément militaire et l'observation des lois de la République du Cameroun.
Jimmy Carlos takes command from Colonel Yende Godfroy. The installation ceremony saw the presence of a host of military officials, family and friends. The event was followed by a military parade headed by Commander Jimmy Carlos, carrying out his duty with dedication.
And now in education, a Class 5 pupil has issued a wake-up call to Cameroon's political class, urging them to prioritize the future of young Cameroonians over personal interests. The young students' conscientization effort comes amid growing concerns over the country's education sector, where armed groups and separatist insurgents have targeted schools, students and teachers. Annabella has warned us.
Let's begin with this heartfelt discourse of 9-year-old Elame Suzanne, a Class 5 pupil who laments in a viral video on the injustices children in Cameroon face caused by political tensions.
Je ne suis qu'un enfant, mais je suis aussi témoin de ce que vous faites. Les cris de Kalachnikov n'ont jamais construit d'avenir.
She castigates the use of children for political gains and other interests.
N'oublie pas que les enfants existent. Pas seulement pour les photos de campagne, mais pour l'avenir réel de la nation.
The 9-year-old conscientizes politicians and other powers that be to consider and not stand in the future of children for egoistic ambitions.
Je vous en prie, que vos ambitions ne deviennent pas nos prisons, que vos conflits ne deviennent pas nos tombeaux. C'est mon avenir que vous aurez effacé.
Elame Suzanne reminds decision makers in Cameroon to stop sacrificing the education of the younger generation in a country filled with war and violence.
La voix d'un enfant peut empêcher la guerre, and I beg you with all my heart, leave us a country we can cherish and not one we run from. Leave us accomplished promises and not political scars. Leave us a building and a united nation and not a stew-appointed son in violence and hatred. Together, let us write a history, a Cameroonian history, a human history, our history.
And over to the Mayo-Talaga division of the Far North region, security forces can be seen escorting kids to school because of insecurity. Boko Haram insurgency has been on a rise at Marawa Mokolo, exposing school children to frequent attacks. Some security men had to accompany them through the forest to school.
Patron Asha.
Another interesting video during this back-to-school period is that of the DO from Bengui, seriously cleaning the bushy environment of the government teachers training college in Bengui so students can resume school in this locality situated in the Water Northwest and Southwest region. This is as lockdown has been declared in the English-speaking regions of Cameroon. The above videos, which have gone viral recently, prove that the socio-political worry in Cameroon is far deeper than what meets the eyes.
Now we talk sports. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon have reduced their chances of disqualifying for the FIFA World or qualifying for the FIFA World Cup next year. The Lions, who were already trailing the Cape Verde on the classification table with a 1-point difference, failed to secure the 3 points needed to leapfrog Cape Verde. Football analyst Katie Lawrence says the tussle between Fecafoot and the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education played a key role to this uncomfortable position that the Lions found themselves inside. Smajikan Gabriel reports.
Belgian tactician Marc Brice recorded his first defeat after taking care of 14 games of the indomitable Lions on Tuesday as the Lions took on Cabo Verde in a crucial FIFA World Cup qualifiers game in Praia. The lone goal from Cabo Verde was scored by Dalion Rocha Livramento after a missed ball from Boyomo at the midfield. The defeat of the Lions has left many lessons.
One of the big lessons learned is you cannot go into a competition being divided, and this internal squabbles and division has really killed Team Cameroon. And equally, the choice of players too. There are some games which extremely high stakes, and the type of player you put there, it doesn't too much depend on tactical play, but it depends upon the fighting spirit of the player. Team Cameroon has been winning games with players with a great fighting spirit, not because they are too talented, but because they believe very much in this jersey.
Cameroon, which is now trailing behind Cabo Verde with a 4-point difference, has 2 matches to play next month. Games they are not supposed to concede a defeat, while hoping that Cabo Verde will misfire against Libya and Mauritius.
We are not eliminated from the World Cup, but we are not yet qualified. What lies next is the 2 games. We have to absolutely win, but the chances are slim. But when there is hope, there is life. So let's keep our fingers crossed that a miracle will happen for Team Cameroon. There is a great reform that has to be done, and the Ministry of Sports and Food should come on an understanding on what's made up of the technical staff, and equally the financial incentives reaped by participating in such competitions will be lost.
Should Cameroon not qualify for the FIFA World Cup directly, they could as well qualify for the intercontinental playoffs, but will have to win the CAF playoffs first, which will involve the best 4 teams at the end of the qualifiers.
And that's it for this first part of the news. Talking Point comes up next. Cameroonians on October 12th will be heading to the polls to elect who will govern them for the next 7 years. But then, many Cameroonians have been questioning themselves on whether ELECAM, that is elections governing body, will be able to give them what they qualify as free, fair and transparent elections. To answer my questions, we'll be having Gasper. He is the member of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon. Good evening. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight. Tell us, Honorable, how is a collaboration between Elections Cameroon and other stakeholders, to be more precise, political parties, civil society organizations and other actors in the electoral process?
You know, Elections Cameroon has always had a very inclusive approach. This means that Elections Cameroon functions closely with other actors of the electoral process, like the judiciary, the administration, the media, political parties, and of course the administration. We hold regular meetings with them, we rub souls together, and we see how to foster the democratization process in Cameroon.
Now, some of them, especially opposition political parties, are expressing concerns about the fact that some of their worries are not taken into consideration by Elections Cameroon, like the issue of the publication of the National Electoral List. What's still preventing your organ from publishing that list?
Yeah, I think they don't understand Elections Cameroon well. We've always, the issue of the National Electoral List, I think it has been demystified. Formerly, the political parties thought that it was a myth, but we demystified it. By publishing the list online, it is open to everybody for consultation. At the beginning of the year, pirates hacked our system, and we could not publish the list online for consultation. But as things evolved, we were able to get a secure system, and now the list is online for anybody to consult. Apart from the fact that the list is online, the provisional electoral registers are already on the field now, and they have all been pasted in our various branches for consultation.
There is a meeting that is coming up on Thursday with all the actors. What are the stakes of this consultation meeting?
You know, in electoral matters, we are in a sphere where 100 learned men can differ, where debate can at times lose philosophic serenity and may even degenerate into impassioned wrangling. For this reason, Elections Cameroon always tries to organize consultation forums between Elections Cameroon and other actors of the electoral process. This is clearly explained in section 10 sub 2 of the Electoral Code, which says the Electoral Board shall hold consultations with the administration, the judiciary, political parties, and the civil society within the framework of the management of the electoral process. And for this reason, given the stakes, Elections Cameroon came up with a theme: 2025 presidential elections, inclusive dialogue for citizen participation, and a transparent, peaceful election. Which means that come the 12th of October 2025, all the actors of the political process are going to come together and discuss the stakes, especially with focus on the upcoming presidential election.
Now, about the stakes you just mentioned, when you look at the context of the October 12th presidential elections, we notice that there is a lot of tension and some kind of distrust between the stakeholders. There is equally an atmosphere that is not very conducive, making some people to express fear about possible unrest. How are you looking forward to handling these issues with the different stakeholders who are expected to put their hands on deck to ensure that there is peace before, during, and after the elections?
Yeah, exactly, Immaculate. That's why we've decided to invite all the stakeholders. And these elections is coming on in a context of socio-political, economic, and security challenges, especially in the northwest and the southwest regions, and in the far north region too. But then, when you talk about distrust, I'm really surprised. I don't know why there is distrust. Elections Cameroon has been organizing elections since 2011, and we don't only organize elections, we organize elections in such a way that they are not only free and fair, but above all, credible. And we want to assure all the actors of the electoral process that come 2012, the Elections Cameroon is again going to organize elections in such a way that they will be free, fair, transparent, and credible. So there should be no matter of distrust. And again, we have the law which we apply. We only apply the law the way it is and not the way it ought to be.
To further clear the air on this issue of distrust, you know, some of the political parties, notably those of the opposition, and even civil society leaders see Elections Cameroon as a branch of the ruling party, which is the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement. You must have heard them even talking about Elections Cameroon carrying out what they qualify as pre-electoral fraud maneuvers. When you come together like this, how do you handle such adversities?
Immaculate, that really makes me smile, because we've been doing these things for more than a decade. You know, there is this participatory approach which we encourage in Elections Cameroon. All the commissions, all the participants, all the actors are represented. We start from the Mixed Commission for Registration Exercise. All the representatives of the active political parties in the various municipalities are part of the commission. The administration is part of the commission. ELECAM itself is part of the commission. So we make sure that during the registration exercise, all the actors are witnesses. They don't only hear, they are part of the registration exercise. When we get to the commission, the Mixed Commission for the distribution of voters' cards, all the actors are present, representatives of the administration, representatives of the political parties, they are all present there. So they witness everything. And when even on election day, the local polling commission is composed of the representatives of the candidates in case of presidential elections, the administration, Elections Cameroon. So everyone is a witness of what takes place at each stage of the electoral process. When you get to the level of the various supervisory commissions, like the Divisional Supervisory Commission, that sits after the presidential elections, it is presided over by the President of the High Court with jurisdiction and representatives of the parties concerned, representative of Elections Cameroon. This commission does the tallying of the votes, and then the results are sent to the Constitutional Council for the proclamation of results. There's even a very important commission, the commission that sits after the council elections. That commission is headed by an authority of a neutral person who is deemed to be of good integrity, respected in society. And it is in that commission the political parties taking part in the election are represented. Elections Cameroon is there. And this commission even declares the results of the elections after the council elections. After the senatorial elections, there's the Regional Supervisory Commission that sits. After the regional elections, the Regional Supervisory Commission that sits. In all these commissions, Immaculate, I want to insist and to remind you and the televiewers that the representatives of all the other parties are always present. So I don't know where the distrust comes from. But if a political party is not able to send representatives, or if they refuse to send, they only have themselves to blame, because Elections Cameroon opens its doors to everybody to witness what is happening on the field. I know in French, the French say, les absents ont toujours tort. When you are absent, you start imagining that funny things happened at the polling station or in the polling center or what. But you have to be there, and it's the position of the law.
Gasper, member of the Electoral Board, Elections Cameroon, thank you so much for your time. And that's where I'll put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for always staying with us. Coming up next on a few minutes, Equinoxe with Serge Alain Otu and his guests. From us to you over there, have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye for now.